Hello, and welcome.
Subscribe!
Welcome to the Legendary Resistance. Please like and subscribe to our videos.
Please!
Today we're going to be talking about house rules. Our favorite house rule is that everyone watching this video likes and subscribes.
Absolutely. How could you not?
Okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to be talking about an introduction today to house rules at your table. What are they? Why do you do them? And what to avoid when trying to institute house rules at your table.
Yep, these are also called homebrew rules. There are any different names for them. Basically rules that you implement at your place.
Yeah, so basically a house rule is going to be implemented as a way to either change a rule of the game that you don't like or isn't fun for your players, change a subclass to be stronger or weaker depending on what it is you need, or change a mechanic of the game to be a little different based on your world and specifications in your specific campaign.
Most DMs develop their own style, develop their own rules, certain things that they can do, but I don't know, that's all you gotta do.
Yeah, so one important thing to think about when you're instituting a house rule at your table is, first of all, think about why you're doing it and what it is you want from it, and then talk to your players about it.
Talking to your players, is that important?
That is actually the most important part, and you're going to see it in a lot of our YouTube videos about how important it is in every aspect of D&D to communicate between players and the DM.
Almost every nightmare story I've ever heard about DM house rules are like when they're really bad is when the DM and the players didn't talk. Like if a DM did a thing and the players didn't like it, and then it just went awfully from there.
Yeah, so step one, come up with a house rule that you really, really want to do at your table. Talk to your players about it, tell them why you want to institute this rule, and ask what they think. If they're all on board, give it a try. And keep in mind, if it's not working, if you've started doing it at your table and everyone's like, this isn't fun, or we don't like this isn't working for us, you can tweak it, you can remove it, it's okay. You don't have to stick with it the whole time.
Oh yeah.
So, one example of a house rule that almost everyone is okay with, and I haven't really had anybody decide that they hate, is also a really universal house rule that I see at almost every DM's table. And that is health potions.
Oh yeah.
So, old-time health potions, you had to take it as an action, and it healed a little bit. So we, at our table, allow health potions to be had as an action or bonus action. And this isn't just health potions. We do this for all potions.
Yes.
You can drink it as an action or bonus action. On top of that, at my table, I allow health potions to always heal maximum. Because it feels bad when you use part of your turn to use a health potion that you've been saving for 8 sessions. And you roll ones on the dice. And you're just like, wow. That was worth it. I'm still dying before my next turn.
Yep, I drink a potion, I heal 4, and they've been dealing 30, so...
Yikes.
Yep.
So I always allow health potions to heal maximum. That way it feels worth using.
Yep. I allow that similarly. For my personal house rule, I like the drinking potions, or drinking any potion as a bonus action, but if you want to feel the full effects of the potion, like the full, all of the hit die being maximum, then you take it as an action. So I like to picture this as if you're in the middle of combat and you're sword fighting, ching, 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 ching. You probably got half of that in your mouth. So that's when you would roll for if you're drinking it as a bonus action. But if you're drinking it as an action, then you can be yeah. And you can feel it, and you can be this is full effects. This is how it's intended to be drunken.
As it is intended. I'm getting hints of hickory and cherry and
yes. Oh, the alcohol
tastes like Neverwinter.
Being able to drink it as a bonus action is faster, but drinking as an action, it heals more. Yeah. So I like that.
No, that's fantastic. And you can kind of change and tweak what you want to do at your table for what works. So that's kind of one that almost nobody has any issues with. Now, you can also get into some house rules that it's really important to communicate with your players. An example of this is at my table, my players are all veteran players. So they have decided that combat is just too easy, and they've all been metagaming with like, oh, they've still got they're still making their death saves, they're fine, or the monster's going to go first, and I'm going to heal them after the monster's turn. And so they're just like, we want combat to feel more dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
So what we do is every time you go down to 0 HP at my table and are brought up to non-zero HP with magic, you get a point of exhaustion. This stacks. So if you go down multiple times in combat, you're going to get multiple points of exhaustion, which becomes more debilitating as time goes on, making the combat feel like it's going longer and draining you more. It's also incentivizing you to heal when you're not at 0, which is also a big thing. Now, this makes combat harder, and we also, we remove those exhaustion points as soon as initiative is over, so they don't have to take a ton of long rests to get rid of this exhaustion. However, it makes the actual combat harder. So this is an example of something where we did this because my players were in agreement that they wanted to make combat harder.
Yes.
If you have new players, this is not a rule that you need to force on your players, and you shouldn't, because it is not going to be fun for your players if they're already struggling in combat.
Oh, absolutely. Forcing a rule upon your players is sometimes nightmarish when they're new. Like, it feels like you're just overbearing and trying to beat them down further.
Yeah. So, especially the rules that make it harder for your players, make sure that they're all on board first.
Yes, that is the key. Like, if you add a stipulation that anytime your character goes down, they're going to lose a limb or something like that, that's important to tell your players before they do that.
And, for instance, with this rule, it used to be that they had to take long rests to get rid of the exhaustion, but with the new system, exhaustion is a little more debilitating than it used to be, and we've switched over to the 2024 rules. So my players literally came to me and they said, hey, this rule kind of sucks now.
Because we're getting tired real fast.
Can we tweak it and have it go away after combat? And I said, that's a great idea. Let's do it.
And then we play tested it and we saw if it worked, and then it did.
Yeah, so things like that. Be willing to change your house rules if it is no longer fun for your players. Yeah. So those are some examples of some house rules. So we've got just a regular potion buff. We've got making combat harder if we want to tweak the balance of the game to be harder. And we can also make house rules to throw away rules that aren't fun for your table.
Oh yeah, the rule of fun is always the best thing to trump.
So an example of this is carrying capacity and eating rations. These are rules that are very commonly thrown away. At our table, we just do like carrying capacity. If you have 3,000 gold and a whole bunch of gear in your backpack, I don't care how much weight you're carrying. It's not fun to be keeping track of that. Now, if you're trying to carry 20 sets of plate mail from looting a whole bunch of bodies, or you're trying to carry 2 party members up a cliff, or you're picking up an entire massive horse-drawn wagon to carry it over a river, I'm going to be like, yeah, that's ridiculous. You can't do that.
Yeah.
But
don't forget that D&D is supposed to be a fantasy that's realistic. And that's how the world works, is you bind the game with rules.
Yes.
And gravity is one of those rules.
So, exactly. So, carrying capacity to an extent is a rule that we often throw away because it's boring and it's not fun to deal with at your table. Same with, rations. We assume you bought enough rations in town. You're not going to run out of food unless that is specific to your game. If your game is a survival across a desert and that's actually part that you want to deal with, that's fun, do it.
Yeah, making sure that you keep track of food and water and supplies. If that's the game that you're running, that you're role-playing, surviving, then that's fantastic. Yeah. That's a great way of dealing with how that works.
Yeah, so we kind of came up with 3 examples of house rules. One to rebalance things in the game, make them better. One to make combat harder, and one to just kind of remove things that aren't fun for your party.
Oh yeah.
So those are examples. We'll give you more later on of things that we do at our table, but
if you have favorite rules that you wanted to talk about or things that we didn't mention below, talk about it. Say stuff down there.
Also,
we'll respond.
Push this little subscribe button.
Yeah.
Just give it a press. You just push it. Push it. Push it. All right, stay legendary.
Bye.